Shockwaves stunned the heron. An enormous male arrived. His name was Jumbo. We are at a unique stage of our history. 18 Wildscreen Panda Awards. This is rare.
There are winners and losers in the Wildscreen Film Festival for wildlife filmmakers in 2018 and beyond. The subjects can be marvellously diverse. Some good news, some bad. We are the only living planet. Everywhere else is dead. Mars, the Moon, Saturn, hardly worth visiting, some say. Put the effort into helping our Earth, where the sun drives an incredible richness, which wildlife filmmakers try to photograph. The media is a vital opportunity around the world, with music, dance, amazing pictures, for example, in Costa Rica, and the so-called water monkey leaps at a bird in the Amazon. The threats to the natural world. In Sardinia, a local Bond girl reports on rare red coral.
2,000 euro.
The scandal of captive orcas or killer whales. In the wild they roam far and wide, but here they can't. Some of the public now applaud the banning of such shows. And one particular film, Blackfish, turned out to be a killer of this degrading industry. Frog enthusiasts try to reach a wide audience with pictures and sound. Kermit is a global star, known to millions, and hopefully helps people care for these fascinating creatures. But do we? Blue Planet revealed the threat of plastic to the oceans, which is where this is heading. All kinds of films, for all kinds of audiences, can make a difference, and increasingly so. But that plastic, flushed away, is not. From down the pipe to down the throat of a Fulmer chick, which will die of starvation. Ivory and rhinos, and the Chinese connection. Media pressure is a powerful thing, and wildlife filmmakers have an important job to do, whether it's filming vultures in Spain, or water voles in England, a lucky moment caught on camera for the rest of the world to see, moving baby downstream. It can be more tricky. The young hippo is a rather unlikely friend of a giant tortoise. But what about Norbert Rocher, his valuable equipment, plus his life?
Ross Burney faces a less drastic hazard: mud.
So this is a piece of equipment called a DJI Osmo. Basically what it means is we use the camera here on, it's like a handheld gimbal to keep things steady. So the effect we're trying to achieve with this is to try and take the effect of being either a shell duck or an egret on the move, and it will stay completely stable as we walk. So my movement's kind of taken out of the shot as it moves along, and you just get some really nice shots. And I can control it via the phone. So the phone works out. There's a car behind us. The phone works as our screen, so I can see exactly what we're filming. Let this car go by. So I can see exactly what we're filming. So, and enough. We're going to get taken out.
To Spain again. The rare Iberian lynx. Is it a winner or a loser? Which and why? At Wildscreen 2018, when some 900 wildlife filmmakers flock together, we'll find out who will win the prestigious Golden Panda at the so-called Green Oscars.
Hello, my name is Sophie Pearce and we are at Wildscreen 2018 Festival for the week. And I'm here and I'm a production assistant for the Brock Initiative, where Richard Brock himself has made 80 plus videos all about wildlife winners and losers. I'm working in that team on the social media department, in particular on Instagram. Great platform for all different types of people, all different ages, and to showcase all the different videos. At the moment I'm working on a links video, making lots of the short videos from the longer edits so we can transfer them on Instagram in a quick little tasters about links themselves and how great they are and all the problems and issues they face. Are they winners or are they losers?
The sponsors of Wildscreen 2018 are many and varied. Technical, educational, charities, and worldwide from Austria to Japan and the USA. From the biggest of the big boys like Disney Nature, National Geographic, and the famous local to Bristol BBC Natural History Unit. Delegates register on day one and get a personal name badge for up to a week or so. With a full schedule of talks, films, discussions, and social events, all in the festival guide. A goodie bag, or rather a links bag, reflects one theme this year. There's the latest kit, probably affordable by the likes of big budgets, 4 years in the making, like Blue Planet 2. All are welcome at this every 2 years event in Bristol, started 35 years ago. Since then, wildlife filmmaking has grown and grown around the world. After the BBC, I've made some 100 conservation stories. Wildlife winners and losers.
Right, here we are in Bristol, which is the heart of wildlife filmmaking. And we'll be here for a week to talk to different people how they make different wildlife films. And we'll go from the simplest beginner to hopefully the award on Friday for the Golden Panda, which is judged to be the best film of the last 2 years, here at Wildscreen in Bristol.
So how do you get there from here?
Where the filmmakers, the broadcaster, buyer.
So my name is Irene Mendes-Cruz. I'm a wildlife photographer. I recently graduated from the Marine and Natural History Photography course at Falmouth University, and I have basics in camera operating. I did an internship with the Galapagos National Park for 4 months in the media department. So I was photographing the work of the park rangers and filming the activities that they were doing, the monitoring of the marine iguanas, the sea lions. And yeah, I'm just trying to start in the industry, looking for a runner position, assistant position, and it's a wonderful industry, and I'm really excited to be here in Wildscreen and try my luck.
So my name's Tom Hanna. I've just graduated from university. I haven't done a marine biology master's. At this stage, I'm just a novice when it comes to filmmaking. I'm just about to get into the filmmaking industry by going back to university. Throughout my degree, I studied sharks and rays and the effect that overfishing is having on their populations in the Mediterranean, especially with rays, because they're in such a bad state and there's something that really needs to be done, but surprisingly there's so little research that's been done. So what I want to do eventually, when I become a filmmaker, is start studying these species and actually showing their plight on screen. I know there's a lot of NGOs in the Mediterranean right now that have done some fantastic work. One of them being Association Ondine, based in Palma. They've done some incredible work already, but a lot more needs to be done.
Not everyone likes music in wildlife films, but Fraser Purdy from Scotland had a great break.
Or Ant Mountain. One of the two names I think we've given it. Which, again, small creatures that you can't actually record the sound that they make. So a big part of that job again was to create a kind of energetic and kind of almost bigger than life soundtrack for these small creatures that, when combined, have created this massive colony of ants. So it was a larger than life soundtrack. There were so many different elements to the story. For instance, prophylaxis, which I learn things. When I work on these films, I always learn new. I'm not a biologist, but I learn things. Which was a beautiful scene that almost looked like two ants kissing. So, you know, it was the music needed to kind of portray that element of beauty and magic, I suppose. So I've been really fortunate to work on a number of really exciting natural history films, and working in this field was genuinely a dream for me when I was at college, and Wildscreen has helped kind of let this happen. From the first time I came down in 2012, getting the first opportunity to work in this industry and be a part of a storytelling process for a number of wonderful creatures has just been amazing.
Hello, I'm Tim Visser. I'm a cameraman. I'm specialized in macro cinematography actually. And I love macro cinematography because you can be really creative in it. I mean, you can make this whole cool studio setups. You can move around all angles of the scene you're creating. So you have a lot of creative freedom, and you show people a subject with what they might not have seen anywhere before. I mean, you see big game, but there are so many animal stories about insects that are so cool and living all around us over here. And yeah, I want to show people that, like, what kind of lives insects have.
It's said small creatures rule the world, whether it's a fly sipping nectar from an ivy flower or an ivy bee working hard. An insight into that tiny world can amaze people when they see it like this.
Hi, I'm Amol, and I'm a filmmaker from India, and I'm here at Wildscreen Bristol to try and understand what's the latest in broadcasting with respect to natural history. I want to understand more because the audience is changing, the number of people watching natural history, they want to watch different kind of things. So it's just to try and get a sort of a sense of where the world is headed. And my style of filming is to try and connect more people to natural history in a way that natural history is not very far removed from us, as we mostly see, natural history is there and we are here. So trying to put the human element as well into it. And of course I've done a lot of work in the rainforests of India, especially working on frogs and snakes.
Hi, I'm Mick Jenner. I'm here at Wildscreen this year to see what is available for various wildlife inputs into the UK footage. I'm a retired police officer who's had an interest in wildlife all my life. I've got into filming after I finished work. I was a wildlife liaison officer, so I've got a good knowledge of the law and the abuses that have been going on, particularly with UK wildlife, which is really where my interests really lie. I've been making little films. I started off making films at travel companies that we used to use, found interested and took on board. From that I've managed to start making little 10-minute wildlife footages of English footage of English wildlife. And I've now completed a 30-minute film on dippers, working with Dr. Stephanie Tyler, who is probably the world's expert on dippers.
Good research and experts in the field are essential to a good production. and the results can be shown as education around the world, where conservation is increasingly important. NGOs, non-governmental organisations, can be a powerful force here.
So I'm Tom Aveling, I'm a freelance filmmaker, and I come to Wildscreen because it's a fantastic place for wildlife filmmakers, obviously. They're all the leaders in the industry, and there's a hell of a lot that you can learn. And I always do learn a lot about techniques, about telling stories, about equipment, about how to progress in this industry. So I get a lot from it, and all the networking aspects too. But my end goal is not necessarily to produce something for TV. What I try and do is work with conservation NGOs to create video content that will explain the stories that, all the projects that they're working on all around the world. Those stories need to be told, and they need to be told in a creative and interesting way, using these social media platforms to get that content out. And I think perhaps there's maybe quite a high number of NGOs who are a little bit behind the game, maybe not embracing that technology or not embracing the use of video content. So I'm trying to do that, and so my goal is not to necessarily make a glitzy program for TV, which I will always watch, but to create content for social media and Facebook, YouTube and that sort of thing, to try and get their stories out.
Good morning. My name's Michael Pitts. I'm an underwater cameraman. I specialise in underwater filming. And I want to tell one little story, what experience I've had in my career of over 30 years of filmmaking. I've been to over 108 countries, but one of the really special places I have been, people ask me this, is Midway. Midway Atoll is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's one of the last islands in the Hawaiian archipelago. And as such, you'd think this remote island would be a pristine habitat. Unfortunately, it's not. When I went there in the 90s, it was being decommissioned by the American military. They were doing a big clean-up, but what they couldn't clean up was the amount of plastic on the beach. Now, I filmed a small part of that plastic and what was happening to the marine environment in that film in the 90s. 4 years ago, I went back again with a scientist, Jennifer Lavers, and we examined, I must have been nearly 100 dead albatross chicks. Every albatross she opened up had contained plastic. Now that really brought it home to me, because when I went there in the 90s, I didn't realize why these birds were dying. Now I know why. And I think of all what's happened in my career, that I think is probably one of the most disturbing events I've seen, and what can we do about it? But we have to do something about it.
Hello, I'm Jason Peters from wildlifefilm.com, which is a resource for wildlife filmmakers, international resource for wildlife filmmakers, and we host industry directories of freelancers and companies, and we produce a monthly newsletter called Wildlife Film News. And in that newsletter we promote general wildlife film news, and with preference to those members who are on board. Very much a conservation slant because I have that sort of mentality. Have been banging on for years to try and get more conservation on television, and I'm really pleased to see that it seems that there's been a turn recently in broadcasters, BBC and all sorts, that they do seem to be more open to putting on more stuff about conservation that is telling the truth. Happy days.
My name's Colin Stafford Johnson. I'm a part-time cameraman, director, producer, a bit of a jack of all trades. I've worked in the business for about 25 years. I've spent 15 years behind the camera. And then a series of sort of unfortunate events led me to appearing in front of it, something I enjoy doing too. Based in Ireland these days, very lucky to meet up with an independent production company called Crossing the Line Films, who made a few Irish films over the years that have gone out to an international audience. Really enjoyed that. I've had pretty much a lifetime working for independents. I think what's great about that is that every film you make is very sort of unique, it's very different. I've been, I suppose, fortunate enough that I've done some sequence work over the years, but there's something about actually having a certain amount of control over your own project, that you can sort of lead it in the direction you want to go. It's wonderful being part of the choice of choosing your own sort of style of editor and your music and indeed your narrator. There's a great thing about being independent. It's a difficult way to make a living sometimes, but there's such a good feeling in this place. There's such a good buzz at Wildscreen that there's always that sense that something's about to happen. You never know when it's going to happen, but you normally leave this place feeling very positive, and it's good because sometimes in the independent sector you can feel very much alone. You wake up on a Monday morning and you feel very much on your own, but this place is great for bringing people together. You just get ideas to bounce off people who understand what this business is all about. So that's why I come every 2 years.
So now the big day has arrived, the awards ceremony, culminating in the Golden Panda. People are heading there, but perhaps not the Crow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 2018 Wildscreen Panda Awards ceremony. Please welcome to the stage your hosts for this evening, Wildlife TV presenter Lizzie Daly and United Nations Patron of the Oceans, Lewis Pugh.
Good evening everybody and welcome to the 2018 Wildscreen Panda Awards. Yes, and a huge thank you to the Smithsonian Channel for really lovely welcome receptions.
Thank you. Really stands out in an impressive field.
It's got to be Blue Planet too, surely. 7 nominations. Which one though? For the Golden Panda. The big one will come last. Impressive team. Seems to go on and on.
Only by reaching the hearts and minds of the masses and triggering behavioural changes can we truly protect our most precious resource, the natural world. You know, these were 5 people, Tony Sinclair, Mary Pound.
It's hot competition. Chimps. It's Rise of the Warrior Apes.
That's what this is all about. Thank you so much.
The alpha males, distantly related perhaps. 5,000 miles away in Kenya is very different. Though film is important here too. It could help save the bongo and indeed much threatened wildlife in places around the world. Growing human populations need explaining, fast. So do the connections of the mosaic of life. Will human greed overuse resources? Will consumption damage the planet beyond repair? We're all in this together. Filmmakers, if they survive, can really help. Public sympathy for wolves is increasing right across Europe. In my 100-part series Wildlife Winners and Losers, I've tried to use film to show connections across our unique planet.
If we don't save the Arctic, forget it. That's it. You know, first thing we have to do, save the rainforest, save the Arctic, otherwise forget it. End of the human race.
Can the media help mend a broken planet? Young people are crucial to the future. We are the first generation to know we are destroying our planet, and the last one that can do anything about it. Let's hope that the next Wildscreen, in 2 years' time, with even more films, will show some successes and keep the momentum going into the future.
Goodbye, folks.